My first, when I was done with studying, I became an actuary. And in order to qualify as an actuary, you need to work. You need to work, and you do a lot of tests in order to be a qualified actuary, and you need to work at least 3 years for that assessment to get that diploma which is recognized in the whole of the EU. With the work I was doing, I was working on reserving, I was doing pricing, and you need to understand those fundamentals that you know what runs a country, what runs a country's economy, how will a country or a nation's economy sustain its people when it comes to social services, pensions, and all that. So we actuaries are the ones who do the risk analysis and calculate how much money a state needs to hold in research.
There are lots of really interesting points that you've made there. So the governments have these analysts who take information about pensions, who take information about all kinds of things, and then try to see how better the government can position itself, can position its resources, etc. Is there something similar that's been done in Gambia? Do they use similar type of skills or do something similar?
Yeah, but to a very, very basic level, because the pension systems there are not so developed as it is here in the West. So they do, but it's not done regularly. It's maybe done once every second year. So they take in consultants from these big four to do. It's mainly accounting, and then they check if their funds, add up, and but you need a lot of more statistics. You'll need a lot more data in order to do the kind of work that we do here. But some kind of analysis and reserving is done. But it's not as sophisticated as we do here.
Yeah, it's so interesting that from your foundational education in Gambia through high school, which often sets about how your work ethic is going to be, how you can apply yourself. Because then everything now is just an opportunity, and you're taking it and you're learning and you're executing. So the foundation that you had from Gambia, encouraged by your grandmother and through high school. So when you are doing your actuarial certification and work experience, they bring to you a scenario, situation that you haven't seen before, but you have the resilience or the determination to say, I'm going to take time to understand what they're asking, and I'm going to get this work done. It's almost like I'm trying to touch on that mindset that you have to be successful. How can you best explain that so they can be encouraged, or they can see that what you study at university is just a skill, and then how you apply it in real life?
Yeah. Absolutely. It's just with studying math, for example, very, very, very few people do it. And with female, it's even more or less, it's very, 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 very few. You can even count how many young people take math seriously, or find it interesting or fun to do math, or and it pains me because we need those skills. That it's part of that missing gap that we have in our societies, in order to be part of. You can't be an engineer without having basic math, that analytic and logical.
So how can you explain to people listening, young females listening, who might be overwhelmed with the whole math thing?
Yeah, if you like, I would say, if you like solving problems, then I think you have that analytical, logical thinking mindset already, and maybe that's why I also could easily venture into entrepreneurship, because I have that from my background, my math background.
Right.
You learn to solve problems. You learn to explain, in a very clever way, or even not clever, but at least explain yourself into a solution or find a solution. You're always solution oriented with mathematics. You use the numbers, those 9 or 10 numbers, and with your own thinking, so I guess I would say to a young person, African, growing up in Africa and thinking, oh, it's just too difficult and I don't have the skill or the resources. I would say if you have that mindset, then nothing, it doesn't matter if it is math or it's any other subject. If you have that mindset, then nothing will work out for you. You have to have that curiosity in you. And some of us are just given, we're gifted with that mindset of analyzing things and asking questions and trying to find solutions to those, questions or problems that we face. So if you have that mindset, I think you will have an easier way in dealing with math. Yeah.
Yes, and and adding to your point, which is exactly spot on, is some people may feel that they have to be solving problems to do with math. It's not just problems to do with math directly. It could be, the mindset is, if you're curious about anything, you're curious about, I don't know, how does an airplane fly? Like, what keeps an airplane? Why doesn't it fall down from the sky? Or just curious about anything. It is that same curiosity that you use to apply to many different things and can lead you to a profession. Because just to recap, you started off your undergraduate with about 80 students, and after your undergraduate in math, and after the first exam, dropped down to about 40, and then it dropped down further because it was getting challenging, and a lot of people don't necessarily want to persevere because it becomes more challenging. So with all that background and then doing the actuarial science and getting the work experience, now being on the job where you have to apply this math to all this complex fiscal, pensions, all these situations. So you finished your degree, and this is where it's also very powerful, because sometimes amongst the continents in diaspora, we tend to feel that if you've gone and done actuarial science for the rest of your life, that is your label, actuarial science person. So whereas you have turned, and maybe fashion was always there, but you are now this amazing innovator, entrepreneur, and I know you're going to take the big underwear company, I think it's called Hanes or something, they're going to be passé after you take over. So how did you come to going from your studies in science and actuary to fashion, and especially underwear?
Very good question. I did I've been, I still do actual work, combined with risks. I work for a bank. But before, I did work for like 13 years before I decided that I wanted to do something back home in Gambia. I always, had this dream of doing something back home, either going back, taking a sabbatical and work with an institution like a pensions institution, or work with compliance related, with the regulator in Gambia, because I did a lot of consulting work here with regards to regulation and insurance and, solvency and all, that kind of stuff. So, but by then, the Gambia, the government was led by a dictator, and he wasn't going anywhere. So I didn't want to work for any government institution. I was even afraid of going back.
Wow.
So, but I always wanted to do something. I didn't know what. I thought of, doing something within my field will be a lot easier for me because it's my expertise. But there's only one institution, and that is government owned, and I didn't want to set my foot in there. And there are so-called insurance companies in the country, but they are more or less brokers. They don't really do proper, solvency, requirement assessments or capital adequacy assessments or so forth. So, so they are more or less brokers. And that's also not, there's not much I can add value to such a company. So, so I was looking outside my field. What is it that I would want to do? But then I lost my grandmom.
Oh,
so yeah.
Sorry to hear.
I lost her, and I traveled back for her funeral. And I didn't pack to stay long, like a week and then back, but I stayed longer than a week, and I had to, and they were, African with traditions and our cultural traditions and all that performance that you have to perform and all with family. I was just curious about it. So, but anyway, so I stayed longer than what I had anticipated. So I ran out of underwear. Clean underwear. So so I had to go and look for underwear to buy, but I couldn't find any. So I was, I said, what? We still don't have like a shop, an underwear shop in this country where you can just walk in easily, like a department store, and choose whatever you want. You find your size and all that. That wasn't available. What was available was you go from one shop to the other, and you pick. If you're lucky, you'll find like I was just looking for just comfortable cotton underwear. I wasn't staying. The extra stay wasn't for something sexy or anything.
Right.
So
simple and functional.
Simple and functional and breathable. So this was in April. It's very hot. So I went from shop to shop. So in one shop, maybe I'll find Victoria's Secrets, and I was like, okay, and then it's lace, it's string, it's lace, or it's tongue, and just too sexy for what I wanted. And maybe you'll not even find your size. So I'll go from shop to shop, and after a while I said, oh my goodness, is this the supply? Is this what you have? Yeah. And I realized, and then talking to the shop owners, I realized they themselves, they travel abroad. They travel to places like Turkey and buy knockoff. They are like fakes. Like they will get your fake Calvin Klein from Turkey and resell in Gambia, or they'll go, or their family members living abroad will buy items on sale. That's why you won't find the sizes you want, or they already been sold out or something. So items on sale, items that that are overstock, that they buy and resell. That's how things are done still in most part of Africa.
Right.
Yeah. So after talking to these shop owners, I understood that, oh my goodness, okay, so this is so saturated. There is no one really focusing on providing underwear to this market.